Ever wonder how people survive harsh winters while living in their vans full time? Without the option of retreating to a house, we're out here braving the cold. It might not always be easy, but it's totally worth it. In this video, I'm going to be sharing some helpful tips that I wish I would have known before starting this journey for myself. I've spent multiple cold winters in this van, and I have faced many challenges. From my water tank completely freezing over to replacing starter motors and shocks in sub-zero temperatures. I live in my 1985 Volkswagen Vanagon, and today I want to share 5 tips on how you can stay comfortable living in your van in these harsh winters. Waking up this morning, it was about 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and it couldn't be more beautiful out here, guys. I'm parked here in the Bridger-Teton National Forest in Wyoming, and today is definitely the coldest day that it has been all year. All right, there are a few things I want to talk about, obviously, moving into these colder months, because van life in the summer or in the warmer climates like down south is so much easier than how it is up here in Wyoming. All right, moving straight into it. 5 things that I think you need to survive these harsh winters while living in your van. The first thing would be a good source of heat. That is what I tell everyone. There's a few really good companies out there that sell gas heaters, propane heaters, or like what I have, a diesel heater. This heater draws very little power and it sips on diesel very efficiently, where you don't even have to worry about it. If you want to keep it running all night long, you can, because it's clean air going in and clean air coming out of this heater. I tell people it's like one big hair dryer. It has an intake coming out of the bottom, and then it has an exhaust coming out the bottom as well. So all those fumes are outside of your van, and you don't have to worry about carbon monoxide buildup or anything of those sorts. What I have here is the cheap Chinese diesel heater. I found mine on Amazon. I think this one was about $130. There are the more expensive options, but I've replaced this a couple times. I think every winter I just get a new one because it's so cheap, and I still haven't come near the price of the $1,000 plus Webasto heaters that are on the market. Going straight into number 2 is insulation. And when I built out this van, I didn't do a really good job on insulating it. It's extremely hard with the mass amount of windows that is in the Vanagon here, but we'll get to that. So behind every panel except this one here, so that means this panel, the one in the back, that one, and the one behind the sink there, I have wool insulation. I think it's like a Havelock wool. I don't know what company it's from, but I did the kill mat, so it's the adhesive rubber pads. I stuck that to the wall of the van and then put the Havelock wool, and I put a barrier with Reflectix just to hold all of it in. That seems to be working pretty well with keeping heat in. And that brings me straight into my third tip, and that would be window insulation. You see in the Vanagon here, it has, I don't even know how many windows, but I cover it with this Reflectix. In the back here, I doubled up the Reflectix. So I glued 2 sheets together, and then on the outer part there, it's just a black piece of construction paper that I found from the store because I wanted it to be blacked out on the outside. I keep this up pretty much all winter. I made the back ones last year when I was up in the Yukon, and I was having trouble sleeping because of the amount of sun in early spring. The days were getting longer and I couldn't fall asleep when the sun was out at midnight. So as you can see here, all my back windows have these Reflectix on it, and the back one as well. Not held up very well, but it's with these Velcro strips. 2 front windows, since the window's open and I want to have some control on the condensation by opening it and also opening the roof vent fan just to have airflow while I'm cooking. I have just a single pane of the Reflectix on the Velcro strips, so I could remove it whenever I'm cooking or I just want some more light inside of the van. The Reflectix on the windows have been a game changer in the comfortability inside of this little box during the cold winter months. Last year in January, I was camping out in temperatures as low as -25 degrees Fahrenheit. And yeah, it was pretty chilly in here with the engine off and just the diesel heater on full blast. I think it stayed around 45, maybe 55 degrees Fahrenheit inside the van here. So yeah, I had a sweater on, I was bundled up whenever I went to bed, but I had full confidence with the diesel heater and being able to keep the heat in with all of the insulation and the Reflectix on all of the windows. It helped out significantly. So I mentioned taking off the window covers for more lighting in the van, and that brings me straight into tip number 4. It's something that I'm lacking and I do plan on addressing in the future, the very near future, as it gets colder and colder out here. But yeah, good lighting. So I've got a few puck lights that take the AAA batteries. I do not recommend these because batteries are expensive and you have to recharge the batteries or buy new ones. I do have a LED strip that is pointed up going around the top of the van here, and that's located on a switch, but it's not very bright. And when it is on, it's pretty harsh as well. And with the longer nights and the shorter days that winter has, and all your window covers up because you want to keep the heat in, it gets really dark really quick. So I highly recommend upgrading your lights inside of your van. It will brighten up your day and make living a little bit more comfortable. So batteries and being able to power these lights and the diesel heater as well, that's another issue. So that is my fifth and final tip. It'll be a good, solid battery system. And what I mean by that is have it redundant and have it reliable, because yeah, you might have, hundreds or even thousands of watts of solar on the roof. But like I said, nights are long and the days are short. And with it being winter, the cloud coverage is a lot higher. So you don't get all the UV rays and the sun hitting the solar panel, charging your house battery. I found this out my first winter up in Montana. It did not charge the battery very well. So running the diesel heater full time was a huge struggle. I installed a DC to DC charger, which means I connected my house battery to my starting battery on a switch, so it charges with the alternator whenever the van is running. So right now I have quite a few things connected to my house battery, and the condition of my battery isn't the best. So right now it's the refrigerator, it's my lights, my DC USB chargers, which charges my laptop, my phone. I can't really run my inverter off of my battery right now because it's been deep frozen quite a few times. So if you're looking into a battery system, I highly recommend something that has a heater in it. A lot of these newer batteries, they have either a deep freeze cutoff, which it'll shut down and protect the internals of the battery when it reaches like 30, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, or a heater will kick on and protect the battery throughout the winter. But mine does not have that, so it's seen some cold temperatures and it doesn't charge like it used to. Speaking of the refrigerator, this is my Iceco VL45 Pro fridge, and I keep a bunch of stuff in here. With the temperatures dropping and whenever I don't run the diesel heater, this thing will draw very little power, if any, when it is cold inside of the van. Obviously, because it's cold in the van, it'll keep the internals of the refrigerator cold as well. So when it's like 20, 30 degrees and my comforter could keep up with my body warmth, I don't run the heater and this will draw no power at all. You'll hardly hear it kick on throughout the night. Just an extra tip here, I do recommend getting at least a sleeping bag if your comforter isn't thick enough. But yeah, get a pretty thick comforter here. I do have the rumple blanket underneath. And it does get a little cold when the heater is off, but when the heater is on, it stays nice and toasty in the back of the van here. Another thing to note is your pillows are gonna get icy cold. No matter how hot it is in the van, you'll lay your head on the pillow and it'll be nice and cold. Especially when it's 0 or even -10, -20 degrees outside, and it is gonna be full of snow. I also plan on getting a rubber mat for my floor here because tracking water into the van is inevitable and actually really annoying. Another thing to keep in mind here, I have a blanket, it's a quilted blanket that separates the cab from the living area in the van because you don't want to waste energy heating up the area where you're not going to be living or sleeping like back here. You want to focus on keeping it warm back here and not up there. Hope this video helped you in one way or another, and maybe it has you thinking about a few more steps to take while living in a van in the middle of winter. It's a lot easier to live in a van in the summer than it is in the winter. That's not to mention freezing water, how you're gonna do dishes. The list goes on and on. So I hope you liked this video. Give it a thumbs up if it helped in any way possible. With that being said, I'll see you guys next week.